Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Josh and Jason Monday Christian and Conspiracy Podcast. I am your host, Josh Monday. If you don't know me, I'm a Christian rapper, devoted husband, father, and Army veteran. I'd like to introduce you to my co-host. He's a Christian, devoted husband, and father. What's up, Jason? How's it going, bro?
What's up? Just chilling, man. Just waiting to get this show on the road. This is Heidi, a good guest we brought back. So let's kill it.
Yes, I'm
All
super
right.
excited. I'll introduce you guys to Heidi Luv. She's actually well, her last name's Anderson, but Heidi Luv is I think what she goes by in the podcast world. But she's actually the host of Unfiltered Rise. She's a returning guest. She came here and crushed it, and now she's gonna come and crush it on Mormonism. So what's going on, Heidi? How you doing?
Hi guys, how you doing?
We're doing amazing, doing amazing. Jason, how you doing, man?
Good. Chilling.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm ready for this. So before we start,
All right.
I like to go over two verses real quick, and I have more verses as she goes. Deuteronomy 18, verses 20 through 22. But the prophet who presumes to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or who speaks in the name of other gods, that prophet shall die. And if you say in your heart, how shall we know the word of which the Lord has not spoken? When a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, if the thing does not happen or come to pass, that is the thing which the Lord has not spoken. The prophet has spoken in presumptuously and shall not be afraid of him. Okay. And you shall not be afraid of him. Okay. So we have that one. Also, I have First Galatians 1, verses 8 through 9. I think this lines up really good with this picture we have on the screen. It says, Galatians 1, 8 through 9, it says, but if we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel to you, that what we have preached to you, let him be accursed. As we have said before, so now I say again, if anyone preaches any other gospel to you that you have received, what you have received, let him be accursed. Excuse me for stuttering. It's just I got this cracked screen, so now I can't read. I just bring my Bible out. So that's the two verses I wanted to read. I have other verses that we can go over about false prophets, but I think this picture is perfect to just dive in off of that verse. Go ahead, Heidi.
Versus.
All right. Hey guys. Well, I just came back because you guys asked on the Mormonism, and I wanted to show you a little bit about all of this since I was raised in the church since I was a baby. I've been in the Mormon church and I got out. And not a lot of people that get out make it through and still believe in God, which is sad, which is why I'm here.
Huh.
So if I can help people, then that will be great. And some of the things I'm going to show people and talk about tonight are not things that other people will talk about. And I feel like there's been enough secrecy. I don't mean to offend anyone. I just think we need to bring these things to light. And that's what I'm going to do. But I don't do it to offend anyone or make fun of their situation or their religion.
Amen
What do
to
they
that.
read from? What do they read from? Is the Book of Mormon, or do they go from like our Bible, then their version of it, or like how does that work?
So the canons for them, there's four. They actually believe in the Pearl of Great Price, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, which are all part of the Book of Mormon. So, and then the Holy Bible, but they put little footnotes in it, and they always say, "We believe in the Bible if it's translated correctly." So they always are doubting how it's translated, and they have all these footnotes of where they tell you to go to prove like more on the Book of Mormon side. So
Yes.
it's a
It's like
situation, and they use it to their advantage
it's
if
like
you do get them.
they feel like it's an ancient text, and then they needed somebody new to come and interpret it and get new revelation, right? So
If your leader has a social security number, I don't think that he's gonna be it's gonna be a real religion. I don't think, right? It's like it's not that old. It's like really fairly new, right? So how could you? I don't know
Well,
how
yeah.
like state stuff back.
They basically feel like, so this is Joseph Smith, and originally when he was 14, this is a picture of him when he went into the grove because so the story goes, all Mormons know the story from the time we're little, that he cried out to God because he read the scripture that said, if any of you lack wisdom, come to me. So he went and prayed and asked, which church should I join? And God and Jesus appeared to him and said, none of them, because you need to make your own church. So First of all, he was 14 when this first occurred. Second of all, no one has ever seen God. Like there's
Yes.
some real big problems with that. And I
No one
mean,
has seen the invisible Father. It says that in John. So you're not able to see him physically because he's spirit. Now Jesus, that's something different, you know.
and then also, so he says it's a book of this area of the United States and how it came to be. It's like how the Jewish people ended up over here, which it doesn't compute. They used to could tell these stories because there wasn't DNA, there wasn't all these things that we have now that we can completely obliterate that with. So this next the next one I'm going to show you is Joseph Smith again. And this is him. This is the picture we see as little kids growing up in the church that he's translating the plates, because originally the plates were hidden and they were given to him by the angel Moroni, but not for years upon years. So this didn't start until he was in his 20s, even though he got that answer when he was 14. So the thing about Joseph Smith is he came from a really Masonic household. His brother and his dad and multiple generations before had been Freemasons. And so they also had been really into semi-witchcraft and occult practices with seer stones. And he had actually been arrested for kind of doing treasure hunting and pled guilty that he did lead people astray and made money off of this by using seer stones. And so this is going to be important because you can see here it makes it seem, and these plates are supposedly made of real gold. And the Book of Mormon's not small. I mean, it's a stout size normal paper book, let alone if it was written on plates of gold. These plates of gold were only ever seen by Joseph, and they say, I think his wife saw him, and maybe his scribes, a few of them saw, but he didn't transcribe them like this picture shows. The real truth is, this is how he transcribed them. They were usually covered or not being touched or read whatsoever while they were being transcribed. And he would use his seer stone and put it in his hat and block out all the light and put his head in the hat and then tell the scribe what to write.
Wow.
And so there you go for like weird, strange. We're already starting off strange.
Yes.
So he's not translating anything, because the technical term for translation is you're reading something and translating it into something else. That's not what he was doing.
He's just doing it by himself. He's just saying what he sees, and that's it.
Well, and it really reminds me of some other things that I'm going to bring up that are more occult practice, but it really reminds me of automatic writing, or how, people say, oh, on songs that they, that it came to them and they just wrote it down for famous people. So not only did Joseph Smith see the Father and the Son, but this angel Moroni who came to him to give him the plates. And he didn't do this until he deemed him worthy, which is why it took so long for him to finally get them. And conveniently enough, after everything was done, he put them back and gave them back to the angel, and they've never been seen again. So there's no archaeological proof. There's nothing.
Oh, the golden
like that.
The golden tablets. He said he gave it to the angel. The angel took it to heaven, basically. And
yeah, they're gone. Yeah, they're just gone again, because the angel took them back. And not only did he see this angel, but there's an account of 26 angels and spirits that Joseph Smith is said to have seen. So busy guy, huh?
Yeah, he could have. He could have, like, maybe he talked to a demon or something, or summoned a demon, and that's
absolutely,
kind of where he's got his message from, or he put his head in the hat. It's probably telling him what to say,
but
it's speaking through him.
Absolutely, I think you're 100% right.
Seen it. Excuse me.
That? What, Jason?
He's the only one seeing it, though. He's the only one seeing these apparitions. He's the only one seeing these spirits. Yes. So there's other witnesses. Like, you have to have witnesses. You have to have at least, 3 or more people to see something to make it at least believable,
like valid. Yes. And he said his scribes did see it, and his wife, but that's really, that's pretty convenient, because at that point he'd already been arrested, in trouble for this kind of thing. So I don't know. I mean, maybe she was just backing her man up on that. But for years, they didn't call it a seer stone. The Mormon Church finally did release this photo and different things of it, but they used to just call it the Urim and Thummim. And when you're young, see how this is kind of describes it. But the Urim and Thummim was made more into like, oh, it's this big interpretive thing. And then when you really find out what was going on, you're just kind of like, wait, what? He was sticking his head in a hat. We
Yeah.
didn't go over this, and
Yeah.
it really, I mean, it definitely goes down magic occult, because what do you do? What do you watch magicians do? Pull things out of a hat, right?
Mm.
I mean, there's too many little occult things, and you're absolutely on the right trail. I'm going to tell you when I get to my slide, but I absolutely think like you as well. I think he was summoning. See how this stack of the plates are right here, and how like thick they are, even shown there, like, and they're pure gold. Like, I mean, it's really doubtful. Like, how heavy would this have been? How many times did you have to transport it? Like, people stole. So this is actually a funny story. So one of the scribe's wives, she said, okay, if this is true, then the book of Lehi was supposed to be first. And he said, well, if it's true, then I want you to bring this home. Lucy, her name was Lucy, and I want to see what's been going on. I want to see what you guys have been writing. You've spent all your time at Joseph's house, and I want to see what's happening. And he said, oh, I can't, because Joseph Smith said no and all this. So he stole a big portion of this book. And she said, okay, well, if all this is divine and you know all these things, so rewrite it. And he said, no, I can't rewrite it, because God told me not to, because it would be translated wrong, because you touched it.
Wow. And
And you
Lucy,
looked
is
at
Lucy
it.
his wife?
Lucy was the scribe's wife.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say Lucy's, that like sounds
So
like Lucifer, but okay.
yeah, no, his wife was Emma, and
Okay. Oh, Emma.
Emma Smith, and
Okay.
she was widely against polygamy, and it was not well known that he was actually a polygamist until a few years ago. They really hid that in our church. They came up with some other stories like, oh, she just stayed behind, and she didn't really, she was unsure about things and different stuff, and they just kind of made it seem like she was a little bit lukewarm to the situation. But actually what was happening is Joseph Smith was actually marrying not only available and young women to the age of 14 and above, but also other people's wives that he was sending on missions. And this is a
Oh,
photo of Joseph Smith. So
wow.
people were starting to get really upset with him, obviously, for
Yeah.
really good reason. And these are another picture of the plates.
Wow.
So
Yeah, I'd
getting
like to
into
get this
what,
history. Honestly, this is really awesome because I've never I never can get this, just trying to search and search and search. It's really good to get this. So everybody that's listening.
well,
Oh, also anybody that's listening for the audio, if you're listening like on Apple or something, go to Spotify. We have it on video on Spotify, or you can come to our YouTube at Josh Monday Music and Podcast and come check it out on so you can see it, because there's actually photos that she's going over that'll help you understand this a little better.
Awesome photos. That's the Enochian alphabet.
this is the Enochian alphabet. And this leads into, like, I think, like Josh does, that I think it's very strange that most of the religions that have been formed from different things like this, like John Dee, he did the Enochian alphabet by what? An angel came to him, told him to translate this alphabet, which I'll go back. This is a picture of John Dee in the middle, and then this is the Enochian alphabet here. And they brought him this, told him to translate it. This is a page also from the Enochian alphabet. And who else do we know that got divine revelation this way? You guys know?
Charles
Famous.
Tate Russell or something, or no, not Charles Tate.
One of the worst guys. One of the worst guys.
Oh,
Aleister Crowley.
Aleister Crowley. I was going to say that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
Jeez.
So he created what? An angel of light, like, came to him. He described it more as a great alien, but I think we see with angels, they always say you don't know who you're entertaining. So obviously they can blend into anything. That's literally in the Bible scripture, that
Yeah.
you always have to be careful, because you never know when you'll entertain an
Yeah, that's
angel.
Hebrews
So
13:4.
there
Yep.
you go.
Yep.
That's why I knew you'd know that. I should have wrote that down.
That's
But
all right.
this is why we have to be careful, because what came out of that was Thelema, and that's also a religion. And then John D with the Enochian alphabet, which leads into other
The
Gnostic
Lima came.
religions.
Yes, man.
And so, and
Ordo
then also
was that Ordo Templis. The OTO also came out of him, and all.
the
I mean,
OTO.
or he
Yep.
actually just became the leader of it. Didn't come from him, but
Well,
yeah.
and Scientology had a big part to do with coming out of all of this because of the workings.
Yep.
They went out in the desert and saw visions. And what did they do? They create Scientology. So all these other religions that are spinoffs are all from the same thing. Like, this is nothing's new under the sun. This
No.
Mormonism stuff is not new. It was for me. It blew my whole mind, because I mean, I was just this young girl growing up in Idaho, Utah area, and you just are indoctrinated from the time that you're really small, and you just believe in everything. And I would dare say there's a lot of Joseph worship with all of this. So,
and also, like,
I'm gonna go to this
back then you were
one.
19, so this is a long time ago. You didn't have, there was no internet, so you couldn't like just go and search all this stuff. You'd have to go to a library, and you know, when you're believing something, I mean, when do you have time to do that back then, you know? So
Well, and I
trying to
was
probably
8. Yeah, I was
when
8
you
years
first
old
got
when
in. Yeah, I think you told me when you got blessed you were 19. So yeah, and when you're in a family and they're just raising you like this, you're gonna believe your adult, you know, you're gonna believe your parents, you're gonna believe your pastor, you know, you're not even gonna be questioning it.
No, because everyone in Utah, honestly, if you're not a Mormon, like back when I was a child, it's changed a lot, thank heavens. But back when I was a child, it was like, oh, you're not a Mormon, you can't play with our kids. You're not a Mormon, you can't. Oh, you smell like cigarettes, you can't come over here. It was very judgmental and horrible for me as a kid, because my parents were inactive, but I still went. I still believed and wanted to go. So I had some neighbors that were really close with my family, and made sure that when I lived far away from my grandma that we went. My grandma was very into it. But so this is I actually wanted to show some proof, because a lot of times people will say, oh, you're just a shield, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, I'm not. Here's my certificate of baptism. It's super old. And this is my temple sealing. I actually was married when I was 17. And then we went through the temple afterward, because he was a convert. He was a Catholic convert. So he converted over. He was 25 and I was 17 when we got married. So right up there in the Utah age bracket, right?
Yeah.
There were no other wives.
Yeah. Well, thank God for that, huh?
Right. There'd be no way, but I did end up going the whole way. And when you're young, starting around, I would say 12 years old, they start, especially for girls. I don't know. The boys were really into the Boy Scout program, but the girls were really into something called Young Women's. And it's kind of like you go on Wednesdays and you meet together and you go to girls' camp and you do all these things together. But when I was young, I don't know how it is now, but when I was young, it was just on you about like, you're going to go to the temple someday. You got to keep your purity. They gave out little handkerchiefs. You got to take this little white handkerchief to the temple with you someday, because you're going to go to the temple someday. So obviously, no wonder I got married at 17. Like it's my grandma got married at 14. So
wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I think ours did too.
Yeah, that was in Kentucky, though.
She wasn't.
No, that was in Kentucky.
Yeah,
her brother.
No.
Just kidding. That's a joke.
No, I got you. And then, so, I mean, you never know, like as a kid, you just think growing up, and this is like the big part to like really, I guess, impact to other people is it's your whole life. Like your family's in it. You're in it. Your neighbors are all Mormon. When you live in Utah and Idaho, everyone's a Mormon. I didn't even know about like very many other religions as a child, other than my grandpa had been Catholic once. And so I knew there were Catholics. But other than that, I was pretty sheltered on Mormonism, because it's just everybody was Mormon. So
that's so hard.
This is something that we do as children. So this is a baptismal font inside of an actual Mormon temple. They can take photos before the temples are dedicated. And so, but I do have some hidden images that were obtained a different way later.
You know?
12.
Why would they have bulls, you know?
So to me now, looking at it now, I could tell you, I think a lot different, because we know that bulls represent different, beings, and
Yeah.
and I mean occult meaning, different stuff like that. So now I know that, but back then, and their reasoning for it is these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and they're 12 bulls.
Mm.
So the baptisms are baptisms for the dead. This is not for alive people. You have to be pure, and they ask you all these questions and take you in the bishop's office, and it's kind of terrible when you're young, because they're like asking personal private questions,
Oh
like
my
to make
gosh.
sure that you're worthy to go into the temple, including like uh self-gratification, we'll put it that way, all those
Yeah.
questions, like really inappropriate stuff when you're like 13, 14. I mean, you're just like, wait, what? But you get the temple recommend, you go here, and you've got these people that do all this family history. My grandma was actually so dedicated, she became like a family history missionary, and that was all they do, is they get the names and genealogy of all these people,
So
and they get all the names to submit to the temple.
so I knew there was something. Okay, so the sacred bull survives the constellation of Taurus. So there's something called the sacred bull that people worship. Um, and yeah, I know they worship it in Peru and a couple other places, but yeah, I just wanted to bring that up real quick. It's in
Yeah, for
Hinduism.
sure.
Shiva, steed, and Nandi, the bull. So it's in Hinduism, Sumerian religion, and Marduk is the bull of
Yeah,
Utu.
that's the one I was thinking of. Yep.
So guys, think about
Marduk.
that. So they got
Yep.
12 of the bulls around this which I mean, I don't know, in the Bible I don't really see anything represented for, like God saying that, we need a bull, it's more of like, this is also it's also highly in new age cultures as well. So just letting you guys know about that. I didn't want to jump in, but
No, jump in. Yeah, for sure. Otherwise, I'm just talking to me. I like talking to you guys. But we have to, so to get these baptisms going, the first time you're baptized by yourself, for yourself, but the after that, anytime after that, these kids go in and are being baptized by proxy for dead people. And these dead people are, they say it's because we're waiting after we die to wait for the second coming and everything. So these people are kind of in limbo, and they can still receive these ordinances that they perform in the temple. And that's like the whole purpose of the temple, is this work for the dead.
Mm.
It's going to be more than just baptisms. There's more photos that are coming up that I'll show you, that they
What
do way more stuff than that.
is that photo of Jesus and like Joseph Smith or something? Or what is that
It's
photo
the
of, you know?
the baptism. It looks like a baptism, maybe of Jesus and John the Baptist, I
Oh,
bet.
oh, John the Baptist. Okay, so they just have the
But
picture of that.
yeah, I mean, they do have some Christian roots, but I really am telling you, just they focus, like, they very rarely focus on the Bible. They really focus heavily on the Book of Mormon and their books, because they feel that the Bible is not translated correctly. They feel that Joseph Smith was a living prophet, and he came to us after there was such a long period of time with no more revelation, that he like supersedes. So if he said, no, Genesis is not true, then they would believe that. And if the living prophet today contraindicated with something, that would be the word too. So
There's some pastors right now that are Christian that are like that too. To
yeah,
be
they
honest,
they
about the
filled their
book like
words above.
Genesis, I'm not trying to say that they say that it's been translated wrong, but they'll just tell you that the book of Genesis is an allegory, and that theistic evolution is true, and all that. I don't want to get too much into that. It's a whole different show,
Right,
but
right,
there's
because
this
that's
is
a big
happening
show.
with Christians right now, and there's people that don't believe the book of Genesis, or don't believe this, or what I mean, they believe it's just poetry. So there's a lot of that in the Christian church too that we need to check our pastors on. You know what I mean? Let them know that this is the
Absolutely.
literal word of God, and we need to let God be truth and every man a liar, including Joseph Smith.
Absolutely. He
So,
definitely, I mean,
just
his
kidding.
is documented. His is documented that he was a liar because he got arrested for
Excuse me. Yeah,
it.
that's
So
crazy.
this is just another baptismal font. They're in all the temples, every temple. So this is a different room. This is
Man,
where you go to do your endowments inside. the temple. They do a recreation of Adam and Eve, either live or by a movie, and they do the whole story of the serpent and everything at this point. They are teaching just basically the first part of the Bible this way, like where it shows like, and God created the earth, and they show all, he didn't show it flat. I'm sorry, Josh, but
Oh, no firmament either. They're tripping.
no.
Well, they want, the
Yeah.
reason why they won't do that though is because they believe, like, I don't know, isn't there a sect that believes in like other planets and you can have your own planet? You can become like God. So they're not going to tell you that it's flat because they're like, we got to keep this universal. No, I know. I'm just saying it's part of their doctrine. You know, they got to keep that. But
well, they can't believe that the earth is flat. But I'm just going to tell you this now. And if the photo comes up later, it comes up later. But they believed, Joseph Smith believed that 10-foot tall Quakers lived on the moon. How about that?
All right, we got it. Hey, see, we had somebody on that was the same way.
No, that's real. That's real. He said this.
Yeah, we had somebody like that, but we're not going to say. We love him. All right, keep going.
He really did say that. So you go to this place here, and this is actually where this is a forbidden photo. There was a couple years ago, they had somebody sneak in with like the glasses that can record stuff.
The Google glasses?
And he got it all. His name was Undercover Mormon, and then he dropped off and changed his name. But these videos are still online. I'm not revealing anything that's not on YouTube.
Yeah. Don't come at me.
Don't come at me, bruh. I'm mean. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, don't come at her at all. Shit, in Jesus' name.
Yes, I'm actually just trying to help people, because so many people are falling away from the church, and it makes me so sad, because the problem is they're so devastated by the lies and this whole situation, because they've been told like, this is your everything. This isn't just now. They believe in a pre-existence. So they believe that we lived before, and that we like were spirits, and we picked our parents, and that we had this whole premortal existence. And then we came down here and we lived, and then we have after that, and we go and get they have retracted that we get our own planet, but that's not true. That there's a literal name for it. It's Kolob. And that we go after we die. The reason why they seal people for time and all eternity, which is what happened to me, and it better not be, because I will come as someone for that. This better be false, because that's my ex-husband. So in here is the sealing room, and that altar is what you kneel across. And what it isn't showing very well, but right behind the lady, do you see that that's a mirror? They're forever mirrors. Do you know, the ones that face each other? And that is definitely used in the occult world.
Yeah.
And so when you look down it, because after you're done, they say, oh, well, look in the mirror. You're now sealed forever. And look at your image goes on forever and ever. And I remember being in there and being like, this is really weird. But that wasn't the only thing that was weird, but there was a lot weird.
That lady sitting on the corners is super
She's
weird.
Dressed. Well, no, this is what we wear. This is what we wear.
Okay, excuse me.
So it's terrible.
It's probably not weird. It's probably actually proper, and I'm being a jerk, but
it's not. It's probably a cult driven, but I'll tell you why they do it. This is another one that lady is how people dress even on the date they get married. Oh, they don't get to wear their wedding dresses in there. They get to buy the wedding dress for afterward and wear it to their reception or whatever. So once you're in there, the whole point, back to the dead people, you're going back through. The first time you go through and get your ordinances, you're going for yourself. You go through the temple, and the first thing that happens to you, let me go to the next one and see if it's more of the celestial room. Okay, so see those forever mirrors right there. And then you go through, here we go. Okay, you dress like this. The men look like that, and the women look like the scary lady. And there's more pictures in a minute of how, and I'm not supposed to show this. In fact, they make you take oaths that they got rid of. But my grandma, when she was young, she went through, and my grandma wasn't that old of a grandma because she got married when she was 14. So,
wow. I think you're
did I drop off? Sorry.
Yep. It's okay.
Anyway,
super Freemason right here, man. Masonic for sure. 100%.
It is 100%. And that was part of what got me out of Mormonism, was because I still was holding on by a thread. And my husband that I met now, his name's Casey. You met him last night.
Yeah,
I'll give a
awesome.
shout out to
Shout out to
Casey
Casey.
for
What's up,
helping
bro?
me.
Super awesome.
Helping get me out. And
Yes,
he
thank
was like,
God. Thank you,
yeah,
Lord.
he goes, you better look at some Freemason ceremonies before you go back there. And I said, what do you mean? And he showed me a Freemason ceremony, and I was like blown away. I had no idea. I thought this stuff was so sacred and special, and to find out this has been used in other ways. Masons aren't even Christian. Like my mind started going like, wait, what are we doing? Like this
Yeah.
is scary. What did I do in there? And it took me probably after I accepted Jesus, like as a Christian, I had to work on generational curses for probably, I would say 18 months because of oaths and covenants. And that's one of the worst things you can do,
Yes.
and it was scary. I had a lot of misfortune and a lot of just weird things happened to me. And it was like a constant work for a while till I could figure out everything I needed to resolve.
Oh, yeah.
It was too much to remember all at once. But so the signs are done by both men and women, but this is the men's outfit. I'm going to skip that one really fast, but we'll get there. Here's the men and women together. And they're doing the sign that my grandma did. And it means you'll slit your throat before you speak. And they used to do slit your throat and spill your bowels.
Same exact thing as the Freemasons. Yeah, that's exactly the same.
Exact. Yep.
What?
And
Cut your
so
stomach open. Yeah.
Yep. And then so if you can see it, they're not just in white, but if you see it's like on a slant. And these are things I'm not supposed to show you. Like these are literally supposed to be secret, but they are available online. So I don't feel as bad as I might have felt at one point. I'm not doing this to make fun of anybody. I don't think it's funny. I think it's scary. So
yeah, we need to definitely we need to expose the evil, But this is
absolutely.
what Jesus says, okay? Jesus says about forbidden oaths. Matthew 5:33 through I think 37, it says, again, you have heard it that was said to those of old, you shall not swear falsely, but shall perform your oaths to the Lord. But I say to you, do not swear at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by earth, for it is his footstool, nor by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king, nor shall you swear by your head, because you cannot make one hair white or black. But let your yes be yes, and let your no be no, for whatever is more than these is from the evil one. Okay?
Yep.
So
100%.
do not, it says do not. Okay, this is Jesus speaking, okay? It's just when Jesus speaks, obviously, I think it's all God's word and it's all inspired by
Because
God.
God will hold you to your oaths, whatever you hold to. He will sometimes he will put you to that, and you don't want to make those oaths because he's going to make you pay that debt. Sometimes he's going to make you pay that debt, man. You don't want to do that.
And there's
No.
oaths that happen when it comes to witchcraft, and there's oaths that happen when it comes to worshiping the devil. You're gonna make oaths with the demon to help you do this spell. You know what I mean? And you start doing these oaths with all these demons, and then there's payback, and then you start going crazy. You got 10 or 12 demons always constantly attacking you. And then you see people walking around that are crazy. This is happening because they're making oaths with demons.
Absolutely.
And that's
Absolutely.
when you see people on the streets, I don't, John, hi, I don't know
I
offense,
see them
but
at work.
you know what I mean? I do. Oh yeah, you do. And I see him at work too. I drive all through Rialto, my city, and I see him all the time, and I try to pray for him, pray over them, and get away from me. It's like,
Yep.
I feel so bad, but this is what happens, and I know someone personally that has done witchcraft that is on the streets right now. And he said that, this is what's happening to him right now. He did witchcraft before.
Witchcraft either comes with like, people say, oh, well, look at all the famous people are exalted and stuff, but you don't know what they had to do to get there.
Exactly.
It's bad.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
It's
They're doing
so
stuff
bad.
like this, they're from the Freemasonic stuff, or they're doing the, or they're, what did the devil do? He takes Jesus up on the highest mountain, right? And he tempts him with all the empires can be yours. He's doing the same thing with, I think, some of these stars. You want all these Maybachs to be yours. You want all these houses, these mansions to be yours. Make music this certain way. I think it happens, but go ahead. We don't want to get too off of the subject.
Okay. So that's the outfits. And I was just going to mention, you can't see it, but the pleats at the bottom are actually robes. So they are just like Freemasons. Masons have a robe as well.
I could see the Masonic stuff right now. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh yeah. It's something else. And then, So this one okay, let me explain. So when you get there, they had to change it because when I went through, it was something else because they scared so many people and so many people you already don't have, when you go somewhere and you guys like think of camping or like you're just like in this best, most beautiful place and you're like, you just feel God around you. Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yep.
When I went to the temple, I thought like, okay, you remember I'm working for this my whole life since I'm 8. And I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be the best, most beautiful day of my life. And I was terrified. Like, this was not a good feeling. This was something else. And I was with my family, like I wasn't alone. Like it was a happy thing. It was supposed to be, and it just wasn't. And
Going to the temple, can you explain what that means?
so when you go to the temple, you do the same thing. You go to the bishop as an older person. You take out something called your endowments, which I mean, that word alone, like you're endowing. So you're going to go through and you can either go through for yourself. If you're going to be a missionary, they'll send you through by yourself. Otherwise, you have to be getting married or have like an extenuating circumstance. Like my grandma ended up actually going through alone, which is kind of rare because they want you to be married. But I think they've changed that a little bit. That was back when she was younger, but when I say younger, like in her 40s. But
Wow.
anyways, she got to go through because my grandpa and her had been married for so long that they were like, okay, he's not going to make it. Just let her go, by herself. Otherwise, it happens on the day you get married. And so you are arriving there, well, not the day, a couple days before, and then you get married. But you have to go through and do this endowment session for yourself on the first time. So when you go, the first thing they did to me is they made me go in a room after you get changed out of your civilian clothes, and everybody else was putting on their temple clothes, and I was in there, and they gave me this poncho thing that is literally like a poncho with completely open sides, and I'm 9 months pregnant. This is super awesome.
Wow.
So I'm like huge and feeling completely exposed because you're butt naked underneath. And everything I'd ever been told my whole life is that you cannot have a blessing by anyone but a man because the men hold the Melchizedek priesthood and the blessing is in that name. And it's only given to men. Women do not receive the priesthood. They say you receive it by being married to your husband. So this woman comes in and I'm thinking, what is she doing here? Like, I'm waiting for a guy or something because, he's going to do the blessing. And they're like, no, it's different in the temple. First thing that sprung in my head was like, that can't be true because I've been told my whole life that a woman can't give me a blessing. But since you're naked, I guess it's okay. So they bless your loins and they're touching you like underneath your poncho. I mean, it's not an appropriate area. You're naked,
Wow.
And so you're alone, getting this weird blessing, naked in a room with some lady. And eventually that part's done. And they give you these garments for you to put on. So your garments look like this is like one version. I'm sure there's multiple versions. I haven't worn them in a long time. This is how I mainly remember wearing them. But they have signs on them. And here they are. So look familiar.
Oh, wow.
So these, yeah, yes, you can't make it up. And then down here as well. And so I don't know if can you guys read it?
It says right
Okay.
breast backwards L, left breast a V.
Yeah. So it's the
Okay.
compass and the square.
Wow.
So if you
Okay.
turn the
Jeez.
bottom and just flip it
Yeah, it becomes
on that side,
so it's
and
like
then the
this, and then if you
compass
put the
upside
L,
down,
yeah.
and
Oh,
then the straight line across. And
wow.
it's also on the right knee. And these are all symbols of Freemasonry, like
Yes.
wide known. And these were such a big deal. Like when I was growing up, my grandma had garments, and if they get worn out, you have to cut these symbols out and burn them before you get rid of the cloth.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And so, also on a side note, this is the store that you buy your temple clothes at. The temple clothes are fairly expensive. For a woman, the dress, so you buy a regular white dress, but it has to be a temple worthy one. So it's got to be long sleeved, all these different parameters. So you usually end up buying them at a store like this. And it's supported, of course, by the church, which we are not me anymore. The LDS church is a very rich church. And they
You
say
could
they
tell.
they say they don't make money off of this and that they make them at cost. Baloney. No.
Yeah.
These garments, so the dress itself, you have to have a dress, which is $100, slippers, which are $10, an envelope that's it's just like a big little white case to hold it all in, kind of like a laundry bag that looks like an envelope. Those for your slippers and whatever. So that's like $5. Then the garments for one set for the shirt and the pants like that. Back when I used to get them were $32 a set.
Wow.
I can
But
make
they said they make them at
that for
cost.
$3.
Right? I'm like, what? There's no way. But Hanes, you can buy a 10 pack of underwear for what? I mean,
Yeah. Wow.
not very much. Even with guys, if you like compare it with boxers and a t-shirt, it still isn't going to be $32 for that.
No. And that's back then, so I can imagine what it is now, you know.
I looked it up and it said somewhere between 46 and 50.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was a little surprised, but I couldn't verify it, so I didn't put the picture up there. But so the church owns all these stores. You cannot go into this underwear store, this store right here, unless you have a temple recommend. So you can't even go in there and buy anything if you don't. So, and now it's all digitized. They're no dummies. They're on top of that.
Wow.
So that is on temple garments and their clothing. Oh, and the apron and the robe cost money. So the robe is probably like, back then, I think it was like 18. And then the apron was between 12 and 20 back then. So I'm sure it's a lot more now. And then the hat, the veil was like another 15, and the hat for the guys. So it's expensive. It was really expensive.
Do they have anything where they say that you have to like tithe a certain amount of your money?
Oh yeah. You can't go to the temple unless you are a 10% tithe payer. And when you
they get the records? Don't they get your like financial records?
They do IRS things called a tithing settlement every year around the same time as IRS time to file taxes. They call you in for tithing settlement. I think it's in May, and they want to see that you actually paid what you were supposed to pay.
Yep. Wow.
So otherwise, you're not going to the temple. You have to be morally clean, which is a good one. You have to be a 10% tithe payer, no matter the circumstance. They don't want to hear that. They want you to
rule in the Book of Mormon, or are they taking that out of the Bible?
No, I don't even know where these rules came from. Like,
so this is tradition.
Stuff they added later. Yeah,
basically like a tradition type deal.
Yeah, I don't think it had like a set parameters like that back like in the day of Joseph. You know what?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, to see, because I see a lot of tradition happening. I wonder if it's like if they get it out of the Book of Deuteronomy, you know, like or
yeah, I mean, it's possible that they wanted to support it with that. I know.
Yeah,
10%. I almost think that's an old Jewish thing.
Yeah,
but,
10% is an old Jewish thing. Yeah, that's what it was back then.
It is.
10% is a tithe to Melchizedek.
Oh, yeah.
10% of his offerings to Melchizedek. So it's still
okay. Then that's probably it.
But as God says, also, if you give, he says, test me and I'll show you. If you give more than I'll overthrow your cup, basically. So you got to give more than 10%. 10% is just what you owe him. That's
back then. But yeah, basically, you just want to give with an open heart. And you know, now it's basically you give whatever you can, and you just want to give with an open heart. Now it's not about the rule of 10% is not there anymore. Yeah.
That scripture that says that if you're going to give with a bad heart, then God doesn't want it anyways. So
yes, sure.
It depends on, I feel like God tells you things if you listen, like not direct, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes you'll get a feeling like, oh, I just had a, feeling that you might have needed this help or whatnot. Like, I know somebody did that with me, and she was saying, oh, I tithe, but right now I feel like you need this. And I really did. It was my husband's ex-wife.
Yeah.
She helped when we put our daughter in a different school, and it's a private school. And she's like, oh, I just wanted you to know that this is tithing. And I was like, wow, thank you. Cause I really did need it. And I was praying about it. And it came through.
I think you can tithe with your time. You can tithe with your money. You can tithe with your works. Yeah. Your works. You can tithe anything as long as you are giving it without wanting something back and doing it with,
with a good heart. Yeah,
with a great heart. And a grateful giver is a good giver.
absolutely. And then on this too, I just look at it like, oh, the coffee and tea thing. You can't drink coffee and tea or you can't go to the temple. There's
You
a,
can't.
I
Oh, you
can't
can't drink
remember all of them.
coffee.
You cannot drink coffee. They
Oh,
actually had it, and you can't smoke cigarettes, and you can't like have vices like that. So, but coffee and tea are direct. Coffee and tea, no more. You'll never see a Mormon drink unless they're Jack Mormon. Jack
yeah.
Mormon means they're not doing it, but coffee and tea are directly said to not be allowed. But originally, Joseph Smith, the way it was translated from him, said hot drinks, but then somehow it became coffee and tea. And they're like, oh, well, that's all that was allowed back then was coffee and tea that were hot. But then I'm like, you guys drink hot chocolate like crazy and it has a ton of caffeine in it. So I don't know, whatever. And they
Soda.
drink,
They'll probably drink
well,
soda, or I
yeah,
don't
there's
know.
a big, no, they drink soda. There's a big joke that you can, they used to say, you can always tell how good a Mormon is by the temperature of their caffeine. So kind of funny,
Yeah,
but
that is
they
funny. That's
drink
interesting.
soda. They
I know.
drink
It's
all
just
that.
I can understand they're probably start trying to say they don't want any stimulants, right? So I
I
think
don't
I
even
talked
think
about it
it
before.
had to do with that. I think because back then it wasn't even, I mean, like that was so long ago, but they uphold it. And then the big thing about the tobacco, I heard now this is a folk story. Like, I don't know if this is true, but his wife, Emma, they used to come and meet at her house and they would spit the tobacco on the floor. So he was like, and she wrote him so much on it that he was like, okay, no, we can't have tobacco. So because he didn't chew tobacco, no drinking alcohol, none of the things like that. So
I
I
see.
don't know if that's a true story. This is just another version of the temple clothes that they wear inside. And
Wow.
this is all stuff that's never supposed to be seen. So
Wow.
this is a photo of inside the temple. They're raising their hand to the square. This is stuff you're not supposed to know. These are sacred signs and seals, and they
Mm.
are nearly identical to Freemason handshakes and
Yes.
different things. So I don't really feel bad sharing them, other than I don't mean to offend people in Mormonism, but this is stuff that you need to know that these are not Mormon things. That these are Masonic things, and Joseph Smith was a Freemason. So
Yeah.
his whole family was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Wow.
and um
And high level
so
too. 33-degree Masons. Yeah.
33. Yep.
Yeah.
And do you know he didn't become a Mason until way later, but he actually rose to 33 degrees in one day.
Wow.
One day.
Yeah. He
So that's
ascended. He
pretty odd.
ascended to godhood.
Yeah, he probably told him about the angels. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he said, I saw God, so give me the
Yeah.
thing. I want the 33.
Well, the devil was probably like, "Hey, I make a deal with you, man. I'm gonna bring you all the way up. Just
Yep.
go through with this plan, and you're gonna lead many astray.
He
Many astray." So
100% did it.
Matthew 24 verses 11 through 14 is another one I wanted to talk about. It says, many false prophets will rise up and deceive many, and because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. But he who endures to the end shall be saved, and this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness in all nations, and then the end will come. So Jesus is talking about the end times, which obviously we're in. He could be talking about the 1800s as well. It's like a day to him is
Absolutely.
1,000 years. So yeah, very
It's
interesting.
definitely happening. That's for
Yes.
sure, because this is a very large church, and
Yeah.
they are one of the biggest on missionary work, like
Yeah.
sending to about the word, like what you're saying.
Yeah. Trying to
So,
spread the false gospel. And they're
hmm
like, also, I heard, well, in some of his teachings, he was like a modalist, and then had some Trinity teachings, and then also some, what's the last one that he had? I can't remember.
they don't believe in the Trinity at all. They believe they're all separate. They believe that there's God, then the Father, and they call him Heavenly Father most of the time, and then the Holy Spirit. So Heavenly Father, and then Holy Spirit and Jesus.
They're not Trinitarians, but in the writings of Joseph Smith, some of it was pointed a little bit towards like the Trinity a little bit, but then it was
Oh,
like more of the modalism. where Jesus can be the Father, Jesus could play God, Jesus could play the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean? Like it's called
Yeah.
modalism. It's like switching modes. So it's really
Oh,
like
gotcha.
it's one God, but God could switch into 3 different modes. He could switch into
Okay.
Jesus, he could switch into God, and then because it says Jesus the Father in some of the writings in the Book of Mormon. And then the way that the Mormons try to back up that, they say, well, he's the Father of salvation. That's what they meant. But what it's saying is Jesus the Father God. So what it is it's a lot of modalism, which is something that obviously goes against the Trinity, like obviously in the Bible it's 3 different persons, and I mean that's what I believe, I believe the Trinity, but
I believe in Trinity.
it just gets really interesting, really interesting when
it's a really strange, it's once you're out, you're like, oh my gosh, what was I doing? But it's strange for sure. This is actually a photo inside with people, they're getting ready to get married. So this is what a Mormon marriage looks like. They don't get to wear their dresses. The guys don't get to wear what they want. There's no flowers. You're not allowed to say your own vows. In fact, you're not really allowed to speak until they say like the kind of vows. They're not the same. And you don't say I do, you just say yes. So I've seen a lot of...
Do you bow down to that thing that's in front of them, the altar?
That's the altar. So the woman will go on one side and the man will go on the other, and they will hold hands in the middle. I think there's a picture on the next. Oh no, but this one's better. But okay, so this one goes with the temple clothes that I was showing you. And I just thought it was ironic because they have these like Deseret bookstores and different things where you can buy temple. This says it's a temple bag, see at the bottom, but look at what it's called. It made me laugh.
Symbols. That was your last episode. Go check out her Unfiltered Rise last episode, Symbols.
I thought that was so funny. I was like, what? And this is actually my friend's like actual post to get rid of her. So it's a real thing. They use them all the time. They're expensive too. They're like the bougie temple bags.
Yeah, I know. They look like it. some VL. What is that? The
right?
Louis Vuitton. Sorry, LV. My bad.
I
know the off-brand, the VL, the LVs, the Louis Vuitton bags.
We know what you meant. Yeah, it's the fancy ones because then you can still show your clout while you're all dressed the same, but you got your symbols bag. Wow. I don't know. It wasn't that fancy when I went. This right here is part of the ceremony, and they're doing the signs again. And when they raise their hands up like that, they're repeating. I don't know if I should say it because it's a weirdo phrase, but I think it's in the Bible. It says, "Oh God, hear the words of my mouth." And they do it 3 times. They raise their hands up and down, up and down, up and down. And it's so weird. It is the weirdest thing. I'm just like sitting in the circle is for certain people and the other people are just watching. And I remember just sitting there going, this is insane. Like, I don't know what we're doing here. And the women have to cover and veil their faces through all of this because we don't have the priesthood and we have to veil it in honor of the priesthood.
Matthew 6:7.
So pretty creepy.
It says, excuse me, Matthew 6:7. Let's check that out real quick so that I keep coming off of Matthew, like with Jesus to it. Matthew 6:7. But you, when you pray, go into your room, and when you have shut the door, pray to your Father who is in the secret place, and your Father who sees in the secret will reward you openly. And when you pray, do not use vain repetitions as the heathens do, for they think that they will be heard for their many words. Therefore, do not be like them, for your Father knows the things that you need before you ask him in this manner. Therefore, pray. And then he does the Lord's Prayer. But listen, so repetition praying, like God wants the relationship with you. He wants you to be like normal, like how I talk to Heidi or how I talk to Jason, He doesn't want you to be like, hum da 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 da, hum da 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 da, then like, repeat. You know what I'm saying? Like
mudras.
It says it right here. God is like, we're made in God's image. You know what I mean? I think God wants, obviously we want to have respect when we pray, but I just think it's kind of obvious what he's saying right there is, not to be like the heathens, the heathens, like what it's saying is if you repetition pray, it's not going to make God get it for you any faster or anything, you just
pray for what you want so he can give you what you need.
And God knows what you need already, even though but he also wants to hear, like Jason says, he wants you to Be with him when you go and buy that dress, when you buy that car. He wants you to have a relationship, relationship with him. Not
When you wake up in the morning,
yeah,
you're already talking to him. The first thing on your mind is him, and then your family.
yeah,
I
First,
always like that scripture where they say pray always and do not cease, because
yes,
I don't
amen.
even pray like, I mean, yeah, the majority of my praying is not on my knees. That's your private time. But the majority of my praying is all day long. Yeah, I'm walking, I'm praying. I'm driving, I'm praying. I'm whatever.
Yes,
You
yeah,
should just be constantly in conversation.
and
It,
don't
it
pray.
should just flow.
Excuse
Yeah.
me. Yeah, and it says, and when you pray, you shall not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the corners of the streets, and they may be seen by men. Assuredly, I say to you, they have their reward. But you, when you pray, I say, like, go into a room, like it's
Be private.
yeah.
This was not private.
No,
I mean,
no,
they say it's private, but there's a lot of people in this room you can't see. There's a lot of people that go through these at a time. Like I would say that the average, like probably 50 to 75 in there
yeah,
at a time. I mean, a lot of people are sitting. And then, so I wanted to mention this because in case anybody ever asks you guys, you're in California, so it could happen because you probably have plenty of LDS too around you.
yep.
Whenever something bad happens, they'll say, "Oh, let me put your name in the temple book." Do not ever say that's okay, because they have this big book. It's a literal book, and that is what those people are praying around.
Mm. Yeah, I'll
And they
never do
put it
that.
in the middle. No, don't
Yeah,
do it. I had no idea. I used to think it was harmless. I mean, before I went through, oh yeah, that's great. Have people pray. It's not the same thing. They don't
yeah,
pray for Heidi right now. No, that's not what's happening. They're doing these weird chants and they're always the same.
mm.
So
Yeah.
they
Making a
don't change
repetition.
that up. Yeah. And I showed you those already. So on the temple, back to like when you go through, when they're in this room, they're doing these prayers and they're finishing that up. But when you get done, you're gonna go, and there's not a photo of what I want to show you on this one, because there's no way that they could take a, oh, that's Joseph Smith's Freemason apron right
Oh my
there.
gosh.
So, and it says so, like right here. See, just so
Joseph
everybody can
Masonic
see.
apron, 1842 apron. Mm.
So
Wow.
it's real.
Wow. Man.
And then these, so after you get done, you've done that weird praying in the circle and watching the video about Adam and Eve and the fall and all those things. You go to this curtained area, and it's like white curtains from head to toe. There's no way they would have took a picture of this part. I don't think I
Yeah.
couldn't find one. And there's a guy like that's God, okay, on the other side, and you have to do these handshakes, and they don't differ very much from these. I think
Wow.
most of them are used. Let's see. They have they have different names for them. This
Yeah.
one, called the real grip of the Mason, they do it a little bit differently. Instead of two fingers, they do one, and they call them different. Like they call it the mark, like because of the nail, the mark of
Yeah.
the nail.
Yeah.
So they switch them around to make it seem more like, okay, because you can't say it's the Master Mason grip. So they
Yeah.
name them, and I can't remember the names, but they
Yeah.
name them. And if you don't get them right, so you have this guy there, and you're on the other side of the curtain, and they're like helping you through it, because I couldn't remember it even when I went through. I'm like, man, I'm definitely not going to make it to heaven because I can't remember these dumb handshakes. But
Damn.
I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm young and I'm like stressing about it. And they're like, you'll get it after you come a whole bunch more times. I'm like, I don't want to come anymore.
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, it's scary in here. I did go quite a lot, but it was just, yeah. And they're almost identical. So that's what they call their tokens and signs. And they're these handshakes. And I mean, they're almost, like I said, identical. So you have to do that to get through the veil, because the curtain is the veil. And
Mm.
at this point, they give you your new name. And
Oh.
here I am thinking my whole life, like, and you're never supposed to say it. Well, I'm going to say it today. So They say you're never supposed to say it until I die. And then my husband gets to know my name so that he can call me through the veil and
Oh,
pull me through. Right.
yeah.
And I don't get to know his because only God will know his, because he only gives his to God.
Mm,
So he tells his name, which I don't know what his name was because, they don't
yeah.
tell. And then I gave my name, which was Abigail, to my husband. And then he knows to call me through the veil when I die by this name. So I'm thinking, oh, this is my really special name and it's super special. No, I found out years later that everybody that went through the temple on that day got that name that went through at 9 a.m. Yeah. I was
Oh,
bummed.
it's like a scam,
It was sad.
Sounds
I
like a
was sad.
scam. Damn.
I was like, you can't even mix them up. Like
Your
everyone
husband's
that's
gonna be like
there,
Abigail, and like whoever
eh,
was there at 9 o'clock's gonna pop out. He's gonna be like,
he better
"Oh,
pick somebody
where'd
else
she
because I ain't
go?"
going with him.
Yeah.
He can call all he
Oh.
wants. I'm running the other way. But he's my only, I mean, I don't have any animosity, but yeah, I don't
Yeah,
want to go with him.
definitely not. You got your new husband. I'm just saying he's gonna
Yes,
probably he's gonna call
for
Abigail, and there's not gonna be
sure.
anybody there. All the
Yeah,
ones at
no
9 are gonna
kidding.
show
Well,
up.
maybe one of the other girls, yeah, they might go. So, and the sad thing is for women is you can only be married just the one time. And then if my husband were to die or whatever, and I got married again, then I would have to choose, say they both were temple worthy. I would have to choose either my dead husband and stay married to him, or my new husband if he had met all the criteria and was a really good Mormon. But the only thing is then if you get married to him, then you're only with him. And then it also gets into weird things about the kids because they say, okay, all the kids born. I said to the bishop, I said, well, what about the kids? Do the new kids that come need to be sealed to us because I was sealed to my ex-husband? And he said, oh no, it's fine, it'll just, God will know. And I'm like, okay, I don't know.
It'll just work its way out. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, I
Wow.
was worried. And then my uncle, because it's a polygamous religion, he'd been married at least I think 8 or 9 times and been sealed to every single one, no
Wow.
problem.
Wow.
And I couldn't get a temple divorce unless I married another guy in the temple. They won't give it to you. You can't have a temple divorce unless you have another person that can step up right then and marry you.
Wow. But
So you're just stuck
you can divorce through the state though. That's okay,
through
right?
the
But
state. Yeah.
but they're so legalistic through the church that you need to have that before you feel comfortable,
Yep.
basically. Moving
Basically
on.
they're saying you cannot
God's
have
not going to
it's
allow it, right? So
yeah,
they're
but
kind of telling you.
you're better to be married still in the temple to the old guy, even if he marries 9 more women,
Oh,
than not be married in the temple at all.
wow.
So that's,
Interesting.
yeah. And because he has the priesthood and I can't have the priesthood. So
The high
it's
priesthood.
very interesting. Yes.
And I saw on that
So
paper it said high priest,
yes,
That's
there's
very satanic of them.
well, because they have the Aaronic priesthood and then the Melchizedek
I saw
priesthood,
that.
and then they have names for each one of the different, I guess, sections, like deacon, and high priest is the highest you can go. So I believe, except I think if you become the prophet, I mean, then you're the prophet.
Mm.
And then I heard about, so the first anointing is the weird naked thing I already told you about, but there's something that really took a lot of people out of Mormonism called the second anointing. And I wished I could remember the name of what this is that I'm going to explain to you on the Catholic ritual of when they used to buy their way into heaven. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Like back in the day? Do you know?
Hold
I
on.
can't remember the
Hold on.
name
It's
of
Is it purgatory?
it.
not purgatory, but I
It's
have it in
when
my
they
notes.
buy, it's like they buy a seal, they buy like a token, and it guarantees them passage to heaven.
Yes.
And so people used to do it that were Catholics and pay a big amount of tithing, and then they
Indulgence.
were, yes, yes.
Indulgence is what it's called.
And so they would do that. And so the second anointing has been found out by a lot of people that if you're a very high tithing payer, even if you're not really worthy, like all the things we talked about, that they will take you in and do a second anointing and kind of guarantee you like
heaven.
free passage to heaven. Yeah.
Oh,
And that ticked a
gosh.
lot of people off. A lot of people left the church when they found that out.
Yeah, that and a lot of people left the Catholic Church too. That's why Martin Luther left the Catholic
Yep.
Church in the first place, is because of indulgence.
Yes.
That's what pushed the Reformation to even happen, because he was like, this is like, obviously
It's not
basically
fair.
how we
Yeah.
would feel right now as a Christian if our pastor was like, hey, pay me, $500 and I'll make sure your family goes to heaven. We'd be like,
Absolutely.
what's going on with these guys? It's because they feel like they have the key to heaven, the key to hell, and the key to earth is what the Pope is because when Peter
Arrogance, man. That's some arrogance right there.
Oh, that religion in general brings so much arrogance to men, and not just, I mean, I'm not saying there's not some in women, but the entitlement in general is just wild. Now, that doesn't mean everyone. I'm just saying, like, this goes to some people's heads if you're already prone to being that way. I've met a lot of really wonderful Mormon people. That's why I don't want to offend anyone, but I also feel like this needs to be out. Like,
for sure.
I just felt like that big on my heart. So then after you do all these things, you go into that celestial room.
This is an episode where we like to expose evil, so if we feel like there's evil and doctrines of demons and anything like that, we need to make sure we expose it, and God will lead the way,
Absolutely. I've definitely felt like this is something I needed to do, and it comes at a price, which I'm going to get to, but this celestial room, after you're done with all of that wildness, that you go in there and you sit, and it's just really opulent and beautiful, and they just you sit in there, you can hang out for as long as you want, and it's just pretty in there. And then that's like a supposed heaven, because you made it through the veil.
It's all white.
So now you're in heaven and you're good. So then you go home, but the next time you go to the temple, you're given a dead person's name that has ended up in the system, and it's all computer generated now. Everything's done. All these people do tons of genealogy work so that they can find out if their temple work's been done or not, and then, or if they need to be sealed and over the altar, if they need both or if they need just one. So all the rest from here on out, after you've done it for yourself, is all for dead people.
Wow.
Which I think is really weird, because God says, let them bury their dead. Like, it's you're not supposed to, completely be obsessed with death. I mean, I've had people in my own family. My brother passed away. I mentioned that before. And I mean, of course it affects you, but at some point you have to let go and move forward and say, it's okay, because he's with the Lord. And that's what I think that scripture means. Like, you let go, move forward. You're not supposed to be focusing and baptizing, doing all this crazy stuff. It's
for the
weird.
Dead,
yeah, it's strange. And I mean, for what?
Yeah.
What exactly?
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's strange. So when you become like me, because I've left the church and I have the knowledge. So normal people that just didn't know, and they didn't go the whole way through the temple, and maybe they went halfway through and stopped for some reason, or they couldn't stop drinking coffee, whatever. They made it, but they didn't go through the temple. My husband's never been through the temple. So he's not considered a true apostate. He's just considered like an inactive or Jack Mormon or a denier. Okay, he's a denier, but other people could be just inactive. So I am apostate. And apostate is when you have all the knowledge and you turn away. And they say that apostates go to outer darkness with murderers. So if you become an apostate, your family will oftentimes be encouraged to withdraw themselves from you. I've known people get divorced over it. And in my own case, my grandma tried to take my kids from me. So, and like through the state. Legally.
Man, this sounds exactly like, remember, Jason, we had the Jehovah's Witness episode. This sounds exactly like what they were going through, man. It's like,
it was horrible,
hand, dude.
And after she did that, and the CPS worker luckily was really smart and said, my daughter was 17 at the time, and she said, you have to testify on this. Are you willing to do that? Because you're going to be 18 soon, and I will perjure you if you are lying. Because I was like pregnant and having all these problems from all this stress and court cases and all this stuff. So my daughter actually spoke up and said, I don't even know what my grandma wrote in that paper. She did it. I didn't even sign it. And so luckily the case was dropped. My daughter was born and was okay, because we had some close calls with her. I ended up in the hospital twice over this.
Oh, wow.
And it destroyed my relationship with my grandma, who was actually more like my mom, because she raised me after I was 12. So that was just really hard. And
How do how do you receive
I'm
salvation?
sorry about my asthma.
It's okay. How do you receive salvation in the church? Is it just by going through that veil and doing the
No.
ceremony?
All works. It's a complete work-based religion.
All works.
So
Okay.
you have to do a certain amount of things all the time. And I feel like the Mormon church is one of the hardest churches to keep up with. Like, it's a very keeping up appearances. You have
Jehovah's
to go
Witnesses
like
like that too. Like they're
Yep.
going to church like
all the
Sunday, and
time.
then you have to
Yep.
prepare. So Thursday, and then they have Bible study Wednesday, and
Yep.
then Friday they're preparing for Sunday, and then Saturday they're going to work all day for the church, and then Sunday they go to church. Basically, it's all. And if you don't show up, they're going to be like, you're getting shunned. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
that's how it sounded when I was studying
So the
the
kids
Jehovah's
go,
Witness. You know, and
yep,
it
the
sounds like
kids
the Mormons the
go
same.
like on Wednesdays, and then Cub Scouts for the boys on Thursdays, and women's meetings on Mondays, and men's meetings on Thursday. And then you got, if you have a calling, which almost everyone in the church does, then you've got, everybody's a Relief Society teacher or a home teacher. So you have to go like with another guy and go do home teaching, go check on people in your area and talk to them about like the lesson that month. Like, say it's on tithing, then you have to prepare the lesson. Women go with the women, the men go with the men. So that's once a month.
Do they
And
believe that
then
Jesus? Oh, I'm sorry.
oh no, you're fine. It's just a lot of things. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, and then some people have special callings in the church. Like, maybe you're called to be the daycare worker, or maybe you're called to be the librarian, or maybe you're called to be the choir lady, or
To
whatever.
serve,
And
basically. Yeah.
so,
Which
mhm.
I'm not saying is, and
No,
definitely
it's
I'm
not
not saying
bad,
that
but
it's
a
bad to go to
lot.
church or dedicate yourself to the church. I think it's just uh it almost sounds like they set the work-based religion so you do so much for the church so that they could get richer, you know, and
Well, and it's
not
all
have to pay
completely
people.
free. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
all completely
They're
free.
not
And
paying anybody. Everyone's just coming and look at this beautiful this
the room, the
supposedly heaven, you
opulence,
know, just
yeah.
all this. Yeah, man.
And that's the thing, is even one time we had a calling where we had to go and clean the church, like toilets and everything. So,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't need to be done. I'm just
yeah,
saying that it's a lot when, and especially because they push you to have a lot of children in this religion. I
yeah.
have 6 kids. So, you're just running because all the kids' stuff, like when they're little and under 12 and under, go to primary stuff. But then when you're 12 and older, if it's a girl, they go one place. If it's a boy, they do a different day. So as a mom, you're just running.
All over. Yeah.
And they really do have a lot of people in this state. If you look up the statistics in this state for depression medication,
Oh, yeah.
it is off the chart. I
So,
mean, and no wonder you don't have any time for yourself ever, you
do
know.
they believe that Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and that's how we're like, they don't believe like we're saved by grace through faith, for it is a
Sorry.
gift from God, not of yourselves, not by works, you know? I mean, do they believe that,
They
or
they don't believe, they say they believe in grace, but I remember the first time I found out like that whole scripture about your works are like filthy rags.
yeah.
And I remember just crying like hysterically in the middle of this church. And I'm not emotional, so that's like a big deal,
Oh,
because nursing, you learn to have like a little bit of a callus about you. But
yeah, of course, yeah.
I remember just bawling and thinking, you mean Jesus is gonna love me if I don't do A, B, C, D? And like you said, it's good. It's not bad to serve your fellow man,
Of
but
course.
also you need to put your family, it has to be in an order,
Well,
you
you need to
know.
serve. You need to serve a church that's spreading the right gospel, though. You know, you need to serve it. You
Absolutely.
need to be spreading the right gospel. If just like I said, we kind of read it like Matthew 7:15. It's beware of false prophets who come in the sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes from thorn bristles or figs from thistles? Even so, every good tree bears good fruit, but bad tree, you know, like basically that parable.
Yes.
I'm just trying to say, like, beware of false prophets who come, you know, in sheep's clothing. Like, whether if you're working for the wrong church, you're working for Satan, you know, working for the devil, you know. There's you can only there's you can either worship God or worship the devil, hate one or hate the other, and that's kind of what you're doing if you are working for someone that's spreading the wrong gospel, So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And it's also like they take the young men. So when the boys go on missions, they're leaving at 19. And so what happens, and this has actually happened in close like friends of mine, that they have scholarships or different things for college, and everything gets put on hold for 18 to 24 months. Girls go on missions later because they hope you'll get married. And so they're not eligible to go until they're like 21 back in the day. I haven't researched if the times have like changed the age, but they would rather you get married. And so it's just they're taking them in the hardest times of choice, because like maybe that scholarship's only right then, or if you're going to play ball, it's only going to be right, you got to go right then, or you lose it. And a lot of people have given up a lot of things for that.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of sad. And on top of it, they also take them at like the worst, most testosterone time in your life. And when they're on their missions, they cannot date, they cannot be alone with a woman, they cannot talk to girls, like anything. If they had a girlfriend at home, they just have to write them letters. And I think they can even only call their family like once a month, or I can't even remember the rules, but they're really stringent. I mean, and they send them wherever, No,
All right.
sorry.
Wow.
It's okay.
So my dog didn't like that, I guess.
Yeah,
Maybe he's not Angel. I don't know. He better not have.
Well, your
Okay.
brain, I feel like your brainwashed at such a young age that at a young age where you're easily, manipulated anyways. And it's then you have to be an adult or be a teenager, they rob you of those years and just push you as in a false, false doctrine, which is, and if you're going to get judged more harshly than someone who doesn't even know the word and is just becoming a new believer. You're going to be judged very harshly for doing that, because if you're not preaching the gospel and you're not, teaching obedience and that Jesus died and he died on the cross, he died for your sins, you're really, what are you teaching?
Well, they go out there and they teach, like the guy that I knew that went on the mission, he told me, he said, we never teach the meat. We only give them milk. And if they start to talk to us about like heavier questions, we'll like evade it or change it. Or, they'll try to somehow get away from that. Like they encourage them to be vague. And the way that they tie people in, I feel like, is they tell them, well, don't you want to be with your family forever? I mean, that's pretty powerful. To say that you're going to be with someone in the afterlife isn't even biblical. We're not even, they're saying that marriage is possible after life is over.
Yeah.
We're not even male or female after we die.
Yeah.
Like we don't even, our spirits aren't even like that. That's not even a thing. So there's absolutely, and I'm not saying we won't know each other, but if angels needed to have sexual relations, like they're saying, because then if you do everything you're supposed to do, you get your planet, go to Kolob, and you're going to go have sexual relations forever and have all these spirit children that can come back down to earth. Well, that's not even biblical, because God was mad about angels trying to have sexual relations. We all know
Genesis
what happened
6:4,
there.
yeah, definitely.
So that didn't work out.
Those angels got punished so bad that they're locked in chains, in a bottomless pit in the earth, and they're
two
not
are in the bottom of Euphrates River.
Yeah, four, and they're not even. You gotta think about it. They're not even like, they're not outside of space and time. They're like actually stuck there, waiting to get out. You know what I mean? So like they're punished so bad. So think about what she's saying there. In 1 Timothy 4, it says, now the Spirit expressly says that in latter times some will depart from the faith, giving heed to deceiving spirits and doctrines of demons, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their own conscience seared with a hot iron. Like it gets really interesting of what Timothy, what Paul is saying here, and
I'm gonna stop this screen share because these are
okay.
There you go.
Done with that. Perfect. So
I'm back.
man, well, Heidi, that was great. Oh, so now you can see us and you can see yourself,
Yes.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Well, and I was still going to talk a little bit about a few things, but it depends on our time frame. So that's
We'll
up to you
probably have
guys.
like another 10 minutes left.
Okay. Well, we'll do a really quick rundown about the other thing that really always bothered me as a younger person, and especially because my brother got married and had an interracial marriage. Now, he wasn't married in the temple, but this always got to me because they believe that skin color is dark because of a curse, because
Cain.
of the curse of Cain, but
Yeah.
also because in the battle back before, with when a third of the angels fell from the heaven because of that battle, there were some that were called fence sitters, and they sat and watched. It didn't make a decision on whose side they were going to be, and those people were also accursed, and their skin was turned dark. And that used to really upset me so much because I just felt like, even as a young child, I just felt like there's no way God doesn't love everybody the same. That's so stupid. I'm like, and then later my brother got married into an interracial marriage and my niece is black. And I'm like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense to me. I don't like this at all. You know, this is crazy to me.
The mark that he put on Cain, he said that is black skin. That's the reason why people are black. Yeah. I had a friend that went to join a Mormon church, and he was African American, and yeah, that's what he told me. And I was like, "What?" When he told me that, I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "That's the kind of stuff that I want to get dig into on my podcast." I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you about that. It's one of my questions I was going to ask you.
And Spencer Kimball actually made the comment because they used to do a lot of work for the Native Americans. And you can look this up. This is like on a talk he gave. This is old. He was a prophet. And he actually said, as the years go by and we bring more and more Native Americans into the fold, they become more and more white and delightsome. And I was like, this is some crap. What are you talking about? They became more white and delightsome, technically meaning white. That's something they use all the time. That's like a term that they used to use. They become more white because they killed off all of the people that they could mate with. They were killing the Native Americans left and right. No wonder. Their prosperity was much changed because of all the wars and all the killings. So I just always had there's a lot of things, and there's a whole book. I don't know if you know about the Book of Discourses. Do you know about that?
I don't.
So it's a lot of things that are compiled from the Mormon Church that they basically say like, well, yeah, he gave that talk, but actually he didn't mean that. So we're going to put it in this book and take that out of like the actual church, not just the canons, but like what's available for knowledge. And they'll say, oh, that's updated. So like black men couldn't hold the priesthood either until after like the 50s, until all that happened. And they actually have had things. I think it was Brigham Young, I'm pretty like 90% sure, that said, if you find your wife in bed with a black person, it's better to spear them both than to have her live. Like, I mean, they were just wild about this stuff. And I mean, it was just widely accepted. And people will say, well, that was in the times. No, none of that changed until way later, till segregation started ending. Then the church comes around. Same thing's happening now with the Pride movement. They're starting to change their ways on that too. They're very fluid. And
that's happening in the Christian. This kept happening in the Christian church as well. So people are just being accepting, and I mean,
it's one thing to accept. It's another thing to be
it's
like encouraging. That's like a weird.
We can accept
a weird thing.
We can accept, and I don't.
I knew what you meant. Yeah.
It's just,
but it was just, there's been so many changes. Like the one guy that I always liked on YouTube, his name is Bishop Earl, and he left the church and he was up high. I mean, a bishop's pretty up there. And he talks a lot about, they gave him some kind of translation thing to do with the copies of the real Book of Mormon. And I mean, not the real, but like what it said. And he left the church after he read it. He was like, this doesn't have anything to do with anything that we do. So it's wild. I think if people really did their own studies, but they tell them not to. They tell them not to study.
Same thing with Jehovah's Witnesses.
Everything.
They say to only go to jw.org and don't go outside of that range because we've already done the research for you. So if you're going to search for something, if they're going to search for something, search for this because they've already done the research for you. So when you look something up, they tell you exactly what they want you to hear to have you continue to follow into that religion.
That same doctrine.
Same thing with
And
the sounds like the same thing with them, right?
they
They're doing the
have
same
their
thing.
own websites, and
Yeah.
they came out like a couple years ago when the internet researching started getting really big. They actually came out with a whole like big program where they said, don't doubt your faith, doubt your doubts. And then they like, oh, just don't read it. And I'm like, that's so ridiculous. If it's true, you'd have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
Period. So
So he was
I just always thought that was weird.
So he was 1800 to 1880 or 1844, Joseph Smith. Okay, so kind of close to like what the 18 something 18. I can't remember when Charles Taze Russell was alive. Somewhere in the 1800s to the 1900s. So the book seems like the Mormon religion came a little bit before. So what do they believe about? They don't believe in the Trinity. You said. What do they believe then?
They believe they're separate. So it's the Father, literally the Father, the Son, like three separate people, and the Holy Ghost. So they do believe.
But they don't believe Jesus is God, though, right?
No, definitely not. He's a whole nother person.
Yeah. And then also, what do they believe about like don't they believe that men can ascend and become gods, or that you guys will become gods? What's the doctrine on that?
Yes, we will become like gods. If we do everything we're supposed to, we will become like gods, and then we'll be rewarded by going to Kolob and being able to be together forever and having the spirit children.
That's hidden. That part
forever and ever. Oh, they'll deny it. They'll
they're hiding that part because you can,
because it sounds insane. You can't say that 10-foot Quakers are on the moon and that you get your own planet. It's just, it doesn't. People are. I mean, maybe at one time it worked, but now people are like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What did you say? And so things have changed a lot.
Wow.
They have definitely tried to make things look really mainstream. And I definitely feel that's why they try to keep that temple ordinances that I shared with you today. And I tried to like share every part of it, because if you know all of that stuff, then you have a knowledge before you make that decision. If people still want to be Mormons or become Mormons after that, at least they know what's going on, that it's you're doing Freemason ceremonies. Do Freemasons believe in Christ? Not all of them, and it's not required.
They do believe ascending to godhood, and they believe in a works-based religion.
But what God are we talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the light bearer, which is Lucifer, right? So anyways, all of it's, man, this is so interesting. What a great episode once again. Everybody go check out her podcast, Unfiltered Rise. It's hold on. Is it Unfiltered Rise, right?
Unfiltered Rise. Yep.
Okay, I want to make sure I don't say it wrong.
She has
Instagram, 2 episodes out, Spotify, and then this will probably be on there as well. I'll send you a copy of this, and then you can throw this on there. This is amazing. I appreciate you. We're gonna have you guys back in like 2 weeks or something. I think.
Yes.
We're gonna have you back on again, with Brennan.
I was just
Jason.
Talking to Brennan. Yeah.
Remember Brennan Jason on a couple episodes back? He did the
yeah, that was a good one.
He's gonna come on with Heidi, and we're gonna talk about some interesting stuff. So we'll keep that a secret.
I had to hit him up
till they come.
Nice.
I said, your brain's too much like my brain. You gotta come and do this with me.
So he's gonna do an episode on her show, and then they're gonna do an episode on our show. So it's amazing.
Yeah,
so
we're just gonna do it on your show, and then we'll just share it over. We'll just swapcast it.
Perfect.
Perfect.
All right.
That's perfect.
And this is a swapcast too. So anybody that's listening to Unfiltered Rise, thank you. Anybody that's listening to our podcast, thank you. Any last words before we leave and before I do the prayer?
Nope. I think that's it. Other than thank you, you guys. You guys are always awesome. Love you guys.
Love you too. And Jason, any last words before we get off?
No, thank you for coming on, Heidi. Always a pleasure. Josh, thank you, brother. God bless everybody out there, and read the Bible. That's all I got.
So all the answers.
Jesus says, behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore, be wise as serpents, as harmless as doves. Okay, so we got to understand that. So he's sending us out as sheep in the midst of wolves. So there's people that want to send you on treasure hunts like Joseph Smith, and then all of a sudden he's got these gold tablets and he's speaking to, an angel, and angel's telling him this is the real way to interpret the Bible, not that ancient Bible. You know what I mean? So we got to understand that God's word is true. We let God be truth and every man a liar. We believe that the Holy Bible is God breathed, and and that all scripture is inspired by God. And whether it's ancient or not, like we said, one day to God is 1,000 years, so this is, 1 day is 1,000 years to God. Right. So, we got to understand that, whether it's ancient or not, this Bible that we have, is already, it's there. Okay. We don't need anybody else to come and interpret it for us in a way that goes against the Bible. Now, I don't know, man, if a prophet is available now that interpret something that goes with the Bible. I'm not sure about that. I know God does talk about prophets in the Bible. I know there's some people that say, hey, I'm a prophet and I know what's going to happen in the future. I don't know. I just know that when you know what I mean? If you guys understand what I mean, there's some people that say they're prophets and stuff. So we got to be careful with that. All right. Be careful with it.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, I just want to say thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you. Let me just end this in prayer. So Father God, in the name of Jesus, we know that there's so much out there right now, the Jehovah's Witness, Scientology, we have the Mormon religion and everything. And, we just want to say, if you could help them, see the truth, help them see through the lies, help them come to you, Lord, and submit to you, help them to believe that Jesus died on the cross for their sins, rose again after 3 days, and we're saved by the blood of Jesus. We want to say thank you so much, Lord, for that. Thank you for providing us with the Bible. We know that your word is true, and every man is a liar. So we know that there's a lot of false prophets that are out there that came and tried to, try to twist scripture, like Satan tries to do, give us 90% truth and 10% lies. Lord, if you can help us sift through that type of stuff and understand what is the truth, and help us to follow that instead of that 10% lie. We appreciate everything you do for us, and thank you, Lord. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Thank you guys so
Awesome.
much for listening to the show.
Thank you.
Please, if you could subscribe to Heidi's Spotify, and then she'll probably have a
Awesome.
YouTube up soon. Do
It's
you have
up.
a YouTube? Oh, she has a YouTube
Yes.
up. What is it?
Unfiltered Rise. Yep.
Unfiltered Rise
all
YouTube.
the
Go
same.
subscribe to that if you guys can. And we'll
On
have
Instagram, YouTube. I'm
Yep.
trying. I'm getting
Yeah,
there.
she's getting her thing going, so help her out. Subscribe and then follow her on Instagram, and please take our show and share it with as many people as possible, and please help us to grow as well. They're probably not sharing it as much as they do with the other podcasts. So thank you guys so much, and we love you and appreciate you.